Hey guys, it's me, Stormie, and I was just doing some video cleanup and realized I hadn't talked about aspects. So tonight we're going to talk about aspects. And basically, aspects are like building blocks in astrology because as the planets are roaming around out there in the universe, they're creating different kind of angles to each other, which create different kinds of energy. An astrologer looks at these angles and looks at the planet themselves and is able to make a prediction on how they are going to work together. Now, the 6 most common aspects that we talk about, you'll hear me, you'll hear other astrologers talk about, are conjunctions, oppositions, squares, sextiles, trines, quincunxes. So there you have it. We're going to break it down in this coming up video, each one of them, what they mean, the degrees they sit in, because some of the energies are favorable, some of them are not favorable, some of them are favorable for certain things, some of them are not favorable for certain things. So we're going to break it down so that you understand a little bit more how an aspect works in the chart to enhance and allow you to maximize your use of energy in your astrology education. All right, conjunctions. This is one of the most versatile and favorable aspects in the astrologer's handbook. Seriously, it sits at degrees 0 to 8 degrees, and it's usually very harmonious. And it sounds just like what it is, a conjunction. It's two planets that are very close to each other, either in a birth chart or in the sky, and they are sharing energy. It's like they're doing team work. I mean, it's team us when you see this happening. And it's great because they're usually in the same house, in the same sign, about the same time, and it's beautiful when they come together because they amplify. So it can be a really delicious experience. For example, when we have Venus form a conjunction with Jupiter, it's one of the most lucky, romantic, delicious, beautiful ones we could ever experience, and it's so beneficial at the time. Now, when we have a conjunction between our fighter planets or our more powerful planets like Mars and Pluto, when they come together, situations, people, places, and things can become a little bit more violent. So they are still conjuncting, and just because it's hostile and a little bit more heated doesn't make it not favorable, because sometimes we need that heat to make change, right? Just remember when you think about it though, conjunctions are favorable because the planet's energies are working together, which means that they can play out in a lot of different ways depending on who's paired together. If you've got any questions on conjunctions, leave them down below and I'd be happy to answer them. Of course, like, comment, and share this video so that everybody else can gain some astrology knowledge as well. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sextiles are the next aspect we're going to talk about, and honestly, sextiles are some of my favorites, mostly because the word sex is in there. Even when I was learning about the sextiles, sextiles are the next aspect we're going to talk about, and honestly, sextiles are some of my favorites, mostly because the word sex is in there. Even when I was learning about the sextile, how I remembered it is that when you're having sex with someone, you are linked physically to them, right? You're sharing space, you're sharing energy, and you are in cooperation with each other, right? That's exactly what a sextile does. It links planets together that have compatible elements. So it would put like a fire sign with an air sign and let the beauty of that be produced, or a water sign and an earth sign together and let that come together. It's amazing because really, when planetary sextiles happen, they create these energies that are so beautiful. They can be so beneficial. They create these opportunities, and that doesn't always mean that it creates success, but they can create opportunities that are yours for the taking. I mean, think about it. When Mercury forms a sextile with an exciting, expansive, crazy, spontaneous planet like Uranus, what happens? We tend to get more chatty, but we're out meeting all of these new people, or we go on this new adventure and we're taking it in, we're sharing information, we're just really involved in that kind of way. So when you think about a sextile, remember that first of all, it sits at an aspect angle of 60 degrees, okay? So that's kind of how you're going to know those numbers actually mean something. But when you think about what a sextile is actually doing, is that it's linking together two planets, bringing out the very best in both of them and pushing us forward towards opportunities for our greatest good. Like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to the channel, definitely. If you've got questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, let's talk trine. One of the most favorable harmonious aspects between two planets. It sits at a Okay, let's talk trine. One of the most favorable harmonious aspects between two planets. It sits at 120 degrees, and I love that it's favorable, but this is one of the hardest ones for me personally as an earth sign, because when planets trine each other, it's two planets that are very supportive. They are understanding of each other, they communicate well, and they are in the same element. So that's earth, fire, water, air, okay? But here's the thing, because they get along so well that they can actually become lazy. It can be hard to get things done. You have to like pull for motivation. Primary for me, the one that gets me every time, is when Venus and Neptune form a trine. I mean, you have the planet of love, then you have the hippie planet Neptune, who just wants to give everybody a hug and is very blissful, so then it just becomes this sensory, delicious, pleasant, comfortable kind of energy, and it can be really hard to find any motivation or get anything done. The other thing that this really yummy energy can create is a fog, or a place of fantasy where you're not actually seeing the full reality of things. So you just have to be careful. Even though it's beautiful and favorable, trines can be troublesome in their own way, but this is definitely one of those ones that I love and hate all at the same time. All right, guys, if you've got questions or comments about trines, leave them down below and I will definitely answer them. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and I will see you guys in the next video where we talk quincunx. The next aspect is a quincunx, which actually just sounds gangster when you say it. I just like saying quincunx, but what it actually is it sits in an aspect angle of 150 degrees, and it's where it's two planets have a difficult time getting along. It's like forced fun, or forced communication. Planets that form in a quincunx angle have no elements and really no qualities in common, so they really do feel forced together. Now, one example is when Venus and Jupiter come together in a quincunx. Now, when Venus and Jupiter come together in a conjunction, it can be lovely, positive, really good, so delicious, right? But when Venus and Jupiter come together in a quincunx, what can happen is that it's just so overly indulgent. You spend too much, you eat too much, you are way too dreamy and idealistic about what your luck actually is. So you're writing lots of checks that your hiney can't cash. All of these different kind of things are very, very possible when a quincunx comes around. And while it can be frustrating, a quincunx can actually be put to really good use too if you figure out how to work with the energy. So the quincunx, gangster way to say it, tough aspect. Another aspect is opposition. This is a challenging aspect between two planets, and the aspect angle sits at 180 degrees. So what's interesting about opposition is that it literally is what it sounds like. Two planets are opposite of each other, but what's makes it so hard is that they are having to do a push-pull with each other's energy. But the thing is they generally have the same goal or the same plan in mind. They're trying to go towards the same thing, and it's a release. It's a freedom creating kind of energy. It's basically like the dark side and the light side come together, push and oppose each other so that they create something incredible out of the energy that explodes from them. And I really like the example of Mars and Uranus. When these two are in opposition of each other, you have Mars, who's about power, assertive, aggression, action, right? Then you have Uranus, who's all about innovation, do it different, rebellion, spontaneity. When they oppose each other, it can become this time in your life where you have kept quiet long enough and now you're going to blow your top and completely freak out at somebody, right? But while that is really negative and you can go over the top in that behavior, what is so positive about it is that it breaks free this new kind of energy where there's a new space for different work. You've gotten that crazy stuck energy out of your body and out into the universe so that it can be unraveled and resentment can be unraveled. So while an opposition can be really hard, can cause restlessness, can cause a little anxiety. I really think at the end of the day, it is usually the burst of freedom that we all need that we're not always as confident to make happen ourselves. So if you've got questions or comments about oppositions, leave them down below. Like, comment, subscribe to this video, share it, please, so that everybody else can know about oppositions as well. Bye, guys. Our next most common aspect is a square. A square sits at an aspect angle of 90 degrees. And it really, when I think about a square, I think about two planets just kind of getting eye to eye. It's that whole, gun showdown that's happening. And one planet says, "What's up?" to the other one, and then it's on. It is literally, they are creating a stressful, unfavorable angle to each other. And one of them is really tensing up the other one's energy, which kind of gives the other one that sense of doing it back. So I literally think of it as that like gun showdown. They're squaring off, you know what I mean? But what that creates inside of us and inside of the chart is this feeling of anxiety, of restlessness, of discomfort. One of the greatest squares that we can use as an example right now is the Uranus-Pluto square that we've been experiencing. So Uranus, this planet of newness and innovativeness and revolution, is going to square off with the planet of death and regeneration and power. Of course, that is going to be stressful if they're in a stressful angle to it. And what it looked like is the world starting to look a lot different. And I think we can agree that the world looks a lot different now. It sweeps away old beliefs, makes opportunity and room for new ones. So while it's unfavorable, stressful energy when you see a square or when there is a square, it also creates huge spaces for opportunity for growth as well. And honestly, not every square is as challenging as Uranus and Pluto, but when you do hear the word square, what you can think of is that they are both got their guns in their holsters and they are just waiting to fire off. All right, guys, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share this video. If you've got questions about squares or comments, leave them down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.